When I first started this Instagram page, I made a video series on 5 American standards that have been cheapened through postmodernism. With Election Day quickly approaching, I have a 6th one to add, the electoral process. Voting in a U.S. election is an honor. That's why our electoral process is designed in such a way that it takes a small amount of initiative to vote. That's why Election Day is a Tuesday and not a Friday. The intention was that, in order to partake in influencing something as important as the governance of our nation, you had to physically go out to a polling site in the middle of the week. If you wanted to vote but were physically unable to go out to a polling site, you could request an absentee ballot and fully participate in the election process. Around the 2020 election, the mainstream media led people to conflate absentee ballots with the new mail-in ballots in order to create the myth that opponents to the latter didn't want disabled individuals to vote. No credible person opposes or has ever opposed absentee ballots, as the right to vote applies to all legal citizens. The reason many people object to the new mail-in voting is that it cheapens the electoral process. It gives a voice to people who previously opted not to participate in U.S. elections. Of course, this benefits the establishment in Washington because A, the majority of past non-voters vote Democrat when given an easy platform, and B, it's easier to manipulate the results when there's a greater number of votes and origins of completed ballots. That's what this change in 2020 was really about. The COVID pandemic only made it easier to implement. If you didn't vote in previous elections, it's certainly your right not to vote, but you shouldn't be voting now with the same lack of effort. Even if you're an able-bodied person who always went out to the polls before 2020, if you typically go out to the grocery store rather than have your groceries delivered, but you can't trouble yourself to go out to the polling site, even now that the worst of COVID is over, I personally feel that you don't love America enough for your vote to be valid. The inconsistency in effort suggests that you're primarily fulfilling a political identity role by voting remotely. And if your political identity outweighs your love for America, then you shouldn't be voting. Personally, I enjoy going out to the polling site to vote. I love the feeling of gratification I get once my ballot has been cast. As small of an impact my vote has on the election outcome, I know that I went out of my way on a minor level to do my part in influencing America's future. It only seems natural that anyone who truly wants the best for our nation would get the same satisfaction I get out of voting in person, and that they'd feel they were missing that if they vote from home without necessity. Again, voting in a U.S. election is an honor. To my followers in the U.K., I'm sure that you view your own elections in the same way. It's time we return to taking the process as seriously as we did prior to the 2020 election.